Yeah, I don't really do birthdays either, man. So holidays are a little bit different though, because I get reminded of them.
Well, you have people around that celebrate these things, you know?
Well, yeah, Christmas big deal. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah,
about the only
yeah.
holiday. Like my daughter's birthday is a big deal, but it's slowly becoming not a big deal. My wife and I, our habits are wearing off on her. So,
Yeah, but she's got friends. I would think that they think it's a big deal, yeah?
when they were younger, yeah, I don't know if that's still the case though. So,
I don't know, man. I still see some, like, fucking, like, 39, 40-year-old women,
yeah,
treating the holiday like it's a national holiday. Like, everybody's supposed to give a shit.
yeah, I have guy friends who do that too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, having a big barbecue, blah blah blah. You know, so it's my birthday. You want to go do airsoft? It's my birthday.
If you want to just do airsoft, just do airsoft.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
need an occasion
I don't
for it.
need an occasion. I've never done airsoft. So anyway, I'm Pat.
Oh, you started.
I
Okay. Well,
started. You saw that I hit the button, didn't you?
no.
Oh, okay.
I'm Jeffrey. So you remember? Yes, we had this discussion before about um.
I don't recall that discussion coming to a conclusion, so maybe we should do that.
Well, the discussion was a lot of times either one or two of us, if not both, our brains aren't really warmed up,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
especially when one of us or two of us, because this happens to me just as often, is just woken up.
Yeah.
So
Is that the case today?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no, no, no. No, so it's okay to let me know when you're starting, or it's also okay to take a minute or two and
Okay.
um, get things rolling a little
So
bit.
that's
That's
the
fine.
conclusion here. I got to give you a couple minutes.
I think sometimes you got to give yourself a couple of minutes.
Sometimes I probably need that. I'm just not
Yeah.
aware. I figure I better just hit the fucking button before I forget about it. And then we talk for an hour and a half and then realize, oh, guys.
Well, yeah, I get it. If you assume the absolute worst out of both of us, yes, but
Well, I'm
that's
speaking on my own part
uh,
here. So, yeah, no, I'm a little bit of a meat coma right now.
a
So,
what?
I had steak tonight. So, it was good. So, but I'm also like, it's processing.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you normally warm up with. It's
Right.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because if you're not coming in hot, man, it's okay.
No, I'm not coming in hot tonight, and it's just because I'm not really that hot about anything right now, Jeff.
Right.
So yeah, um, the last few days have been the end of the semester, and so I'm in the middle of doing the brain dump at this point in time. So
Well, I mean, are you finishing up, what you have to do,
yeah,
or
I
is
got a
it?
little bit left to do tomorrow.
Oh,
I
okay.
should be done tomorrow night. If not, I'll be done by Tuesday night. Podcast time. So for
Okay.
sure.
So you're almost done.
Yeah, almost done.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, good. All right. And I'm happy for you then.
Yeah, but I've been working on that stuff, so I don't know what's going on in the world now, Jeffrey. Anything good?
Uh, okay. Well, I
You
mean,
want to start with the bad stuff?
well, what's the bad stuff?
I don't know. Yeah. Is there a new war that I don't know about?
Wars are fine. I mean, they're the same as they were before. Um, the the big deals I would say are that are local. Um, is of course we have our Denver problem.
What's going
Uh,
on with Denver?
where it comes to basically illegal aliens
Oh, okay.
and their treatment, as of right now, it looks like they're getting 6 free months of housing.
In Denver?
Yeah.
Great.
And
There you
they,
go, Denver taxpayers.
yep.
You
And
got an
so
election coming.
the police were defunded 8+ million so that the government could pay for that. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see
that's
that.
the local thing. The
That sounds like a Denver problem, though, man. So,
Look, man, as long as it doesn't become a my problem, that's fine. I know what they're trying to do is, I don't know if you saw this, but they're kind of trying to monkey with Tabor.
Oh, yeah, I did see the legislator was going to do something about that.
I didn't get the full details of it,
No, I
but
didn't either.
what I did see, I didn't.
Man, they've been trying to monkey with Tabor for 30 fucking years. It never goes because it's in the Constitution. So
Right, which
yeah,
means
you need to have people vote on it. And I know that thing has come up many times on the ballot, you know, where sometimes it was like, hey, can we keep the money to pay for this? You know, and sometimes people are like, sure, okay, and then we get new roads or something, or in that case, street lights. Yeah, that did happen.
right.
You know, but that's usually on the local level. Every time it's come up on the state ballot, it has gotten murdered, like, you know, badly. So, you know, because it's just the way the law is set up, it's really hard to pitch repealing it. You know, it's like, hey, if we take more than we say that we should take, then you get it back. And people are like, yeah, that just makes fundamental sense. So, you know, and I remember, you know, back in my early education days, it was all the rage to rage against Tabor.
Right.
So, and Doug Bruce himself was a piece of shit as a human being. So,
Well,
but the few times that it's come up, it's gotten just demolished at the ballot box. It was like, oh, we're gonna repeal this so that we can have, you know. What was it? It was like a couple of years ago. It was like pre-access or pre-K.
yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, and that's what everybody said. It was like, fuck that. So
Yeah.
you don't need to be sending your kid to school when he's 3. You know, so you know, yeah. And that got shot down. And then a few years ago, it had something to do with what was it? It was something with the prisons. They were going to try and get rid of the contract prisons or something like that.
Oh, okay,
this was back in the Obama years. And then they were like, no, that got shot down.
Fuck 'em.
They're like, no, we'd rather have our Tabor.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And look, I absolutely, like, especially in situations like this where, you know, I can obviously see them trying to pull an end around where they're trying to get people to pay for this shit.
Well, they're trying to get the rest of the state to pay for their fuck up, and the state's not having anything to do with it.
No, fix your fuck up.
Well, and Denver's not big enough to be able to make that kind of lift, because Denver County itself is not that big. So, in terms of people, yeah.
So fix your fuck up, admit you did wrong, publicly in front of the country.
Well, they're not going to do that. What they're going to do is the Denver voters going to vote those dudes out, and we're going to get new people in there, and they'd say, like, no, we're not going to do that anymore.
No.
So.
Apologize in public in front of the country for what you did, what you were trying to do, and maybe in time we'll forgive you.
Oh, I don't think we'd forgive them.
No, I would forgive somebody for getting up on television, right, and saying, "Look, we tried to be cool about this. We saw that these were fun words that people were using, and we saw that it was cool to pick on Texas when it was Texas's problem. But as soon as the buses came here, we realized that we couldn't do anything about
Eventually,
it.
the buses came for you.
That is correct. So admit your fuck up and say, like, you know what? We've learned our lesson. We need to work together with the people at the border, and we owe a lot of people a lot of apologies."
Yeah.
That'll never happen.
No, it won't, man.
That is the
No, it won't happen.
that is the only version of those things I would accept in order to forgive that.
Because I'm
if
not
you-
looking for forgiveness, man. I just don't want to be in charge anymore. So I'll settle for that. I'm all right with that.
If those people wanted a second of absolution, I would give it to them if they apologized in that manner and mentioned me specifically by name.
I'm sorry, Jeff. You were right. We were wrong.
I mean, look, my going rate whenever somebody gets into some fucking spat with me on Twitter or something is, if someone's wrong, I demand $500 and a handwritten apology.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Is this like the $25 in time served?
No, well, it's
You validate your parking.
it's normally like if somebody says something that's stupid, I'm like, look, if you give me $500 and a handwritten apology, I'll talk to you again. It's
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of where I am with those fucking bastards. I gotta say, I fell in love with Florida this week.
Florida. What's going on
Even
with
more
Florida?
so. Oh man. Okay, so the quote unquote, and this is not derogatory. This is what they call themselves. Queers of Palestine were blocking the road, and Florida doesn't fuck around. They had them cleared out and detained within 11 minutes.
Oh, nice.
That is how
Was
it's
it like
done.
an interstate?
I don't know the capacity of the street. I just watched the video, but yeah, cleared out within 11 minutes. That's how it's done.
Yeah, I don't think there's much tolerance for that shit anymore. Well, it's over now. So,
What are you talking about? It's over.
school season, I mean, the semester's almost done, man. So, I mean, maybe they'll block streets and stuff like that, but as far as like occupying the library, that'll be done by the end of next week.
Oh, so it's you wouldn't waste your time occupying it during summer, right?
Why would you? Yeah. I mean, like, guys have at it, you know? So, we're turning the lights off.
As long as you're here, you might as well fucking read something.
Yeah, read something. Yeah. You do understand that we put the tape over the toilet there because they're off.
Right.
So
Only the one upstairs works during the summer, guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No. They it was just I didn't see too much on that the last couple days, so I don't know if it's flaring up at other campuses or not, but I can't imagine too many schools are in school for another week or two. So
Probably not. I think everybody's sort of roughly on the same.
it's pretty damn close, and the reason for that is because the federal, like the FAFSA, has like its own calendar, and so
Yeah.
you know, so like you can get away with a little bit here and there, but that's not the kind of school that you're going to have like protesters at anyway. That's like your local community college, you know.
I don't. I don't think that they're like, well, you know, we had some snow days, so you guys have to make up.
Right.
I don't think they do that kind of shit.
I community colleges they do. So
Well, at this point, what I'd imagine that they do is they'd probably just say like, "Hey, telecommute today" or something.
that's probably true. Yeah, I haven't
they
worked
have an
for one
option,
since
yeah.
before COVID, but yeah, that's probably what they do.
Hey, you know what? I think that's actually a nice alternative in case things go
It is.
awry. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I've flexed that option many times. So it's just like, guys, I'm not making it in today. We're gonna do this from my basement. So you know, yeah, but like graduation ceremonies are a little bit different. So yeah, I wonder how many actually got canceled last weekend.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it's any. That's a
It's
problem.
bullshit. Yeah, no, I
It's a
agree.
problem, and you should probably. I'm not advocating violence, but I mean, you do what you got to do if you're provoked, man. It is what it is.
I suppose. Just as long as you like, I don't know. You have to figure out a way to get away with it. So
I don't know what you're trying to get away with. It's just pretty obvious. At
well,
that
if you're
point.
the last man
Like,
standing, there's a whole
yeah.
bunch of broken protesters around you. You're gonna get arrested.
You are.
You
I mean,
are.
it's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff you could get away with where it's like, well, this guy did this and this guy did this, and you know they're probably going to separate you and and whatnot. But
So we had that little peaceful protest on my campus like 3 weeks ago.
Did
2
you?
weeks ago? Yeah, it was tiny. It was like 15, 20 people. I told you guys about that.
oh, okay.
So, but anyway, the thing that I found that was interesting about it, and I didn't think about this until after we had podcasted. But the day before that, I had a meeting in a different building, and so I had to walk over to that building. And I walked by this thing that looks like you remember? I'm sure you had these on the rig where you had those diesel generated lights.
Oh yeah, just the little ones.
Yeah, it's a little cart with two wheels, you
Yeah.
know, on it, and it's got the light stand on it with the
Yeah.
four big, floods on it. So I walked by one of these, all right, and it said, the county that I was in, and I looked up, and it didn't have lights on it. You know what it had on it?
Huh.
Fucking like pods of cameras. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is that? But I didn't think about it. All right. And so anyway, I walk on and I go inside. All right. And I do my meeting. And then that thing happens the next day. It's on the news, blah, 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 and stuff like that. It involved 15 people, maybe 20 whatsoever. It was completely peaceful. They did chalk drawings on the sidewalk.
Oh, who the fuck cares?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
I know. But
that's all well and good.
No, that's fine. That's normal college stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, but the fact that they had set up a fucking mobile surveillance tool.
Yeah.
So the day before it happened, it was kind of like, oh, that's why that thing was there. That wasn't a piece of construction equipment, was it?
Like I said, I'd never seen one utilized that
I'd never
way.
seen one either, but it didn't have any lights on it. It was this exact same vehicle with the same mast on it, but it had like 8 of those cameras that are, the bulb underneath or the bowl is shaded, so you can't tell which direction the camera's facing. Yeah. So it had like 8 of those on there. So I was like, huh, that's neat.
Well, if it's diesel generated too, that means okay. So was it running at the time?
I don't know. So
oh, you can tell.
Well, no. I don't know
because it's going.
No. The engine wasn't running, but I couldn't tell you. It might have been tethered to the building. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it looked like you could power it with a diesel generator. So, but I don't know if it was. So
yeah, because when those things are going,
oh, they're loud as fuck. Yeah. Dude, we had those all over the place
in
on the railroad. So yeah. Yeah, we used to use them at night when our maintenance crews. So we hated doing maintenance at fucking night because you had to bring enough of those things. So usually you just do it during the day.
Yeah, there's that, and sometimes like on some sites, when they didn't put the equipment in front of the or they couldn't put it in front of the shack, they'd have those things out there so you can strap tools.
Oh, okay.
So we'd have to run those things every now and then, and you're listening to people's numbers and you're standing next to them, they're still shouting in your ear.
Right.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah, because didn't use chalkboards or nothing.
Well, I mean, you're using strap sheets.
Okay.
Yeah, so one person's got the sheet, the other person's taking the measurements. And,
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this one was for a very different purpose. So.
Well, look, man. As long as what happened was people, protested and they drew chalk outlines and all that shit. That's great.
Yeah, they drew flags and flowers and all kinds of stuff, and
sure.
Some of it was pretty. It rained like the next day or 2 days later, and it was all ruined. So.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, yeah, but I mean, if that's how you want
that's not the kind of protest that pisses you off. Yeah,
that's
I know.
Fine.
I understand. So it's when you corner Jews and don't let them, use the bathroom.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue.
Yeah. I did see a couple of those, even though I'm no longer on the X. So, shing. Then some of that stuff did bleed over to my YouTube feed the last couple of weeks. So.
That is the kind of shit that should have people concerned.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's different because the campuses, unlike any of the BLM stuff, they actually responded this time. In a couple cases,
which is actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
If you, well, this is something that sort of it fuels into people's dislike of Jews.
Oh yeah.
Because they say that the only reason that they're being protected now is because they're Jewish.
Oh.
And of course, these are the same, remember, 3 parentheses, they that run the country.
Right. The they.
Right. As soon as they are in danger, then suddenly people are quick to act.
Yeah. I mean, really what it is like, I think there are certain campuses that are just fucking tired of it. So
I think, well, look, I mean, I think that they're tired of it, but I also think that you just, given the history of the past, say, 100 years, right? Does that sound about fair?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about.
When it comes to anti-Semitism and the routes that it goes down, I think
okay.
people don't want to have that anywhere on their shop, anywhere on their campus. No, and that's completely understandable.
No, I mean, I did see a picture of like the corridors of some hall in Colombia that had swastikas all over it. I don't think you want that. So, I think that's specifically what you do not want. So if you are any kind of educational institution. So the funny thing is like, so a lot of them have been talking about divesting. So from any kind of Israeli financial ties.
Right.
This is so goddamn stupid, Jeff. And it's one thing that actually like, it kind of got under my craw a little bit. Because it was like, all right, so you invest money in Lockheed Martin. That doesn't mean the dollar that you took goes right over to the Lockheed factory. It gets turned into a bomb and dropped on somebody else. No, you just bought a share of that from somebody who was willing to sell it. So it has nothing to... You can pull all the money out of those companies. They don't give two fucks. So, because none of that money would have gone to them anyway. It's just a stupid thing.
You would have to do it on such a scale, right?
You'd have to tank their stock.
And that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
and I mean, you're not going to do that in a
scale
foreign exchange. Come on, man. I mean, it's just like... It's like the number one thing that I have to fight whenever I talk about any kind of financial shit. It's like, oh, if I buy a share of Tesla, Elon Musk can use that dollar. It's like, no, he already got his money.
Do they just not know how it works?
They just, so many people just do not know how it works, man. So, and obviously there are a lot of protesters who are saying we should divest from these things because it'll hurt them. Ha ha ha. It's like, no. They won't even feel it, man.
No, I mean, there are some things that you can do, right, that actually do have financial impact. We've seen that. We've seen that in the past few years. Ask Budweiser about that.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the stock.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It did. It affected their stock, but it wasn't divesting.
No, that's the cart, not the horse.
Right.
The horse is getting people to ban their products. Right. So is to boycott their products. Right. So yeah, and then that absolutely affects the stock price. So because they're like, oh look, those sales revenue projections that we were planning on, for this year's dividend are gone. So it's like, well, I'm going to sell my stock now. So, me too. Me three. Oh, look at that. It's not worth as much as it was.
See, and that's not divesting.
That's not divesting. That's called offloading.
Now, I guess, okay, so I can understand the problem then where you say, all right, well, obviously we can't divest from Lockheed, that's inconsequential. But the other thing is, you don't really have an option in terms of like, well, don't buy their products. Those products aren't really commercial.
Yeah, you can't go to the Lockheed store.
That's kind of the problem. Yeah, is that you can't say like, well, I'm not going to buy anything from Lockheed. It's like,
right, yeah.
I'm trying to remember the joke. It's like I don't roll over in bed for less than $10,000.
Yeah, I don't.
Lockheed is
for less than $5,000.
Yeah. Lockheed is kind of like we don't sell shit to individuals.
No, they don't. Yeah. No. Yeah.
So I can see a complaint in that regard where you say, I wish we had some control over this.
Their spending?
Yeah.
With Lockheed? Yeah. I'm not too worried about that anymore. So, nah. Not like I used to be. Maybe a little bit with the some of the space stuff that they do. So,
Lockheed?
Well, not just Lockheed, but Lockheed, NASA, Boeing. So even Tesla or SpaceX in some respects now. It's like, there's a lot of shit up there, and there's not really any rules at all behind it. So that could get weird.
There is so much more room up there than you could possibly imagine.
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
So, but, the thing about it is that there's just, like, I mean, even like one person up there who decided to, like, fuck around and find out, let's say, like, a satellite killer or something like that.
Yeah.
Could fuck up a lot of shit for a lot of people. So, So I think I'd like to know a little bit more about what's actually up there. And I've had trouble finding some of that information. So that's one of those hush hush areas that's kind of like, that's not for civilian pukes like you on the Google. Yeah.
Nope, that was my dad's specific job back in the day.
I
And he
remember.
just didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I know, and they still don't really talk about it. So, you can find some information. Like, I remember your dad was talking about kinetic weapons. So, they absolutely developed some of those. So, they don't turn out to be as useful as people thought. So, because honestly, nuclear warheads are more useful.
Well,
So.
the problem with it, I mean, yes, so nuclear warheads, in many ways, they're faster, right?
They're very fast. They're insanely fast.
They're faster. And you don't have to. So, like, it would work perfectly if, say, you had a grid of kinetic weapons all around the globe ready to go at any point.
Yeah, but you have to maneuver to where you want it to be.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Right. So,
That's really expensive.
Well, let me say this. You wouldn't necessarily have to maneuver much if you had a big grid, right? It's just basically go this way a little bit. But we're talking about an area of coverage where basically it's like, well, so all of Eastern Europe is constantly, has hovering patterns, like, so it's just constantly. There's always something.
There's always something nearby.
There.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the same thing was true with Iraq and Afghanistan for years.
Right.
So.
Right. So it's sort of it's something you can do, and it's something that has a lot of potential, and it has a lot of cost saving measures, things that are efficient about it. But again, when it comes down to it, it's like, what is the goal that you're trying to achieve here, right? And if the goal is to obliterate, like, well,
We're good.
like, it's you're at the grocery store, man. You're like tugging at the mom's apron. You're like, hey, can we get these? She's like, no, we have chips at home, and it's the same.
Can we stop at McDonald's?
It's the same thing. You tug it on your mom. She's like, "Can we have kinetic weapons?" She's like, "No, we have city obliterating weapons."
Yeah, we're already good on city obliterating weapons.
You don't eat the ones that we have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I spot you some new ones like fucking 40 years ago. Yeah,
They're still good.
they're still good.
So yeah, that's the trick on it. Yeah, they are incredibly fast.
What? We were talking about something the other day. I went and looked it up. What the fuck was it?
We were talking about like the half-life of nuclear isotopes.
Yes.
And I knew the half-life of those radioactive elements were extremely long, but it was basically the triggers.
It's the exploder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they use a plutonium thing. They
Yeah.
use a plutonium cone to actually smack into a uranium sphere. So the uranium stays good very long time. It's the plutonium that goes bad. So yeah. But no, that's not what I was looking up. All right. So that's a good point though. All right. I was looking up the Department of Energy thing. There's a reason why all the nuclear weapons are under the Department of Energy.
Why?
It's mandatory spending. Everything in the Department of Defense budget is discretionary, meaning they can change it any year. So Department of Energy, mandatory spending. It's like Social Security. You have to spend the money on it every single year. So
that doesn't. That's the thing, though. It doesn't make the thing that I was griping about better.
no, I understand that. It just like look at it from an organizational
Oh,
perspective.
you're absolutely
This
right.
is already off the table, so we can fight about
Absolutely.
this.
No, I totally understand. Look, were I in that organization, I'd be the person saying, like, we need to do it this way. And guys, let me tell you why. It only takes one bad year.
Yeah, the libertarians just need to take over 1 year. Oh, actually, I did see that too. Anyway, that's a different
Did you
discussion.
look up what were you
Oh, I want to talk about libertarians. So
in reference to South American countries, or
Oh
what?
no, I don't know anything
Okay,
about that
all right,
guy.
all right.
So no, this is something completely different. But anyway, I didn't want to just train of thought.
No, it's absolutely fine. No, were I in charge, that's how I'd want to do it. As a person on the outside,
Right.
I would say this is absolutely disgraceful.
Right? Yeah, you should all be fired.
I don't know necessarily fired, but there's a zero accountability aspect of it.
Yeah, so it's actually like it's not like the energy secretary actually has control over that either. It's kind of this really isolated piece of the government. So the DoD has nothing to do with the development of nuclear weapons. The only thing that they actually develop is the delivery vehicles. So all the development of nuclear weapons in the United States is done by a small agency in the Department of Energy that lives in Texas. That's where they make all the cores. It's this place in Texas. So
All right.
yeah, and
Hopefully, West Texas.
I don't, I didn't look up where it is. So, but yeah, there's apparently a plant that does this, and then there's a backup plant that nobody knows where that one is.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So,
All right.
and it's pretty small. It's it's not like this 10,000 man agency. It's a few hundred guys who know how to do this shit. So, and I'm sure are paid very well.
It's the
to not go
dudes,
Rosenberg on us,
right,
man.
from all around the country that have that degree.
Right. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So that they scrub from your transcript.
Right.
Yeah. So who was that guy? We were talking about that guy too. The UFO guy.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I know we were, because the guy that looks kind of like, well, he's kind of like a
It's like a skinny Stephen King.
yeah. No, the other guy we were trying to remember the name of was that douchebag that makes the
Jeremy Cordell. Corbell.
the guy that makes the documentaries.
Yes, yeah. No, he came across my feed again
Okay.
a little bit ago. So Jeremy Corbell. The other guy's name is. Oh god, it'll come to me about in 10 minutes from now. So,
All right. No, what was this libertarianism thing that you wanted to?
Oh, so Donald Trump did something really smart this week. And it kind of went under a lot of radars, but I listened to a couple political guys who are kind of like sharp. They're not always right on things, but they're pretty sharp. So, yeah. And so anyway, they pointed out that Donald Trump actually signed up to go to the Libertarian Convention this year. So that's something that anybody can go to. So RFK Jr. is going to go to it. Donald Trump's going to go there, and they were speculating what he was actually going to say. And they actually came down to the conclusion that he's going to go down there and say, "Hey, fuckers, if you want to get Joe Biden elected, you know what to do because he did it last time. So otherwise, you can get on this train with me." So, and he didn't do that last time. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And if you go to a lot of the states that have thin margins, those margins are not fucking thin if the libertarians vote for Donald Trump. So, in all of them, especially Michigan. Michigan's like kind of the one that's like, oh, yeah, there's your problem.
So the ones that I see that are in biggest risk of losing are Wisconsin and Michigan. But
losing to Donald Trump?
yeah. Those are the ones
yeah.
where he's has the lowest margins showing right now. He's leading all 6 battleground states.
Yeah,
but,
he
but
is.
those are the 2 that he's close.
He needs Michigan to win. Either one of them needs Michigan to win. So it gets very difficult without that state. So
it just depends on if you get Pennsylvania or not.
yeah, that one I don't know, man. That's like 2 states that should secede from each other.
I don't know, man. Pennsylvania
It's a weird place, man. So I don't know. I can see a lot of people voting for Donald Trump, but then also being like, well, Fetterman's not on the ballot. So if he was, I bet you a lot of people would vote for Donald Trump and then vote for Fetterman just to tickle their Democratic funny bone, kind of thing.
Right.
So, but I don't know if they actually have a Senate race there this year. I don't think we do. I think we're out of the Senate race this year. Yeah, I'm pretty sure both of our guys are safe for this election.
They shouldn't be.
Why? Our guys?
Yeah.
They're fine.
They shouldn't feel safe.
Dude, that's just the way it works. You have 2 senators, and each one of them turns a 6-year term.
Oh, no, I understand.
Yeah, okay.
But you say they're safe. I'm like, well, they shouldn't feel safe. They shouldn't.
They don't have to worry about running this year. I'll put it that way.
Okay, all right. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
So
My apologies. No, you're right. You're right. No, the information that came out about Argentina is it's actually trending very positively.
Good.
So there's a big they've actually managed to curb inflation, which was their biggest battle. So there's some credit to, I don't know, it's hard to say what's
Well, what did the guy do?
basically he like gutted the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his biggest thing is he gutted the government, and again, I don't have a problem with that. The amount of redundancy that we have in government is a little bit disgusting. As we've talked about it, like there are benefits and hazards to all of these caterpillars stepping on the same foot. I understand that it makes things move incredibly slow.
It does. That's Congress, though, man. That's just
it is.
That's baked into the cake.
It is.
So,
and of course, it's important that we actually we do have so many divisions of power in this country. I think that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons it makes it work.
well, and I mean, we've lived through times where everybody's kind of marching in the same direction, and I don't think there's ever been a time where we didn't regret that. So,
More or less, man.
I mean, yeah, because
In our lifetime,
in our lifetime, I mean, the big one is, of course, Iraq.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to hold it against anybody out there who supported that shit at the time, because that was 99% of us.
yeah.
And so, but that's when all of Congress was on board with it, except for one or two people, who became insufferable I told you so's afterwards. And then the same thing's true with a handful of journalists who also became insufferable I told you so's in the future as well. So,
Yeah.
and then still won't let it go. It's like, fuck off with that. So, I think we got the idea, guys. So, but
Yeah, and part of that is more so I wouldn't even at that point I wouldn't even necessarily give you the benefit of holding true to a moral standpoint. I would frankly see you as more likely to say I'd prefer to get my name out there by being contrarian. But
yeah, I
take it
voted
for what it's worth.
I don't think any of those guys did not vote for Al Gore too. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So I mean that's much more of a predictive value than the fact that you were morally superior to those guys.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I guarantee you they all voted for Al Gore. All of them. So, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, now there's definitely redundancies. A lot of it is just you got to figure out what to do with the entitlement programs, and that's not a discussion that anybody's going to have for the next 10 years. So, because that is almost all of your spending. So,
Have to be.
it absolutely positively is. So, it's insanely expensive. So,
I mean, it will solve itself
it will. I mean,
with death.
Huh?
With death.
Oh, possibly. What will happen is, like, yeah, eventually enough boomers will die out where Social Security will actually start to become a little bit more solvent again.
Yeah.
So, but then, like, eventually you're just going to have to face the point where it's either going to have to raise the Social Security tax, which is capped. So, and that's fine. You could fix that in 5 minutes. Or you change, how early you can retire, and that fixes it in 5 minutes too.
Which we've done.
We have done. We've done that a couple times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, So, but that's a big one. That's like, God, I think a quarter or a third of your outlays every single year. So, and then the other third is something else that needs to be fixed, and that's fucking Medicare. Medicare's broke. So, it's Medicare and Medicaid are the next third of the federal budget. So, I don't know what to do about that. So,
I don't think anyone does. I don't think anyone has a graceful solution for it.
I've heard of a couple, but they're like, whenever you float them by, people are like, why don't we just do blah, blah, blah? And it's like, because we can't all agree on that. So,
Well, what are the proposed solutions right now? The ones.
Well, the Medicare for all thing,
Right.
That's the one that everybody wants to go to because they think they get free health care and we'll just tax all that money out of the rich. They have no, Jeff, if you taxed every billionaire in the United States down to $0,
Right.
it would pay for like 6 months of Medicare.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I used to feel that way too until, yeah, actually, it was Glenn Lowry that pointed out the math. And I was like, oh, thank you. So, you know, got it. That's not a solution at all. So,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right.
So, so they say that. So like the somewhat counterintuitive, solution that I've heard that I don't hear anybody talking about, but a couple smart people that I knew that I followed from a while back, said, hey, the biggest problem with Medicare and things like that is you got too many sick people on it, not enough healthy people on it. So tell you what, one of the things you can do is just lower their eligibility range age by like 10 or 15 years. Those people aren't going to have outpours from it, but they're still going to be paying into it at the time. So, and that basically keeps people from waiting until they're 65 to get treatment for shit that if you fix it when you're 55, it costs about a tenth as much as you try and fix that hip when you're
Yeah.
65.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that makes sense. And then we're also like, well, the other thing that it does is that it puts a really pricey portion of the insurance market under the umbrella of Medicare. And so those are the people who are in their 40s and their 50s and their early 60s who will shell out a lot of money for, fucking drugs and treatments and shit like that, inflating all the prices. And so if you actually put them under Medicaid or Medicare at that point in time, then Medicare can go, no, we're only going to pay this much for that. So, and actually have some pricing power over everybody. And so I was like, well, that makes sense. So, but it's not an elegant solution because everybody would fight over, oh, and that's going to cost more money,
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd have to wait a few years to actually see any benefits from it.
Right. You would, and frankly, somebody else would take it in the shorts.
Somebody would, yeah. So, like people who are like, 44 would be
Yeah.
pissed off. You're
Yeah.
always going to have a group of people who are pissed off by it. So,
No, and I know that the ideal solution in a lot of ways is to basically sunset the new people, right?
Yeah.
Or the old people. I just don't know if there's a way to do that where at this point, it's the same way that they used to negotiate contracts with like the fire department. It's like,
Yeah.
look, it used to be like 20 years you get full pension. It's like, all right, you guys keep that because that's the deal we signed.
Yeah, you're
Right.
pre-85 guys or whatever.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, so the new guys, they have to do 25.
Yeah,
It is
exactly.
what it is.
That's what they need to do. So yeah, that's not an elegant solution, but it's one that I've heard. The other one that I heard, I think it's a lot more elegant, but I think it's actually impossible to actually get somebody to implement this.
Oh,
Would be actually the Medicare for all thing, okay? But you do
Yeah.
it at where Medicare pays 70% of everything and not a penny more. So after that, you are out of pocket on that last 30%. So now you can go out and you can buy private insurance, but it's not mandatory. So, but it would be like every procedure from anything from, fucking getting like, a cut stitched up
Yeah.
or something like that, all the way to getting a kidney transplant. You're on the hook for 30% of that. So, and so maybe you go out there and you get some like catastrophe insurance, that you pay in, but it has a $20,000 deductible on it. Okay. So,
well, no, that's exactly what like Aflac does for you.
it would be exactly like Aflac. Yeah. So, but you'd have the option to purchase it, but the government doesn't subsidize that. It doesn't help you with it. So you either
Maybe your employer does.
maybe your employer does. Sure, your employer can pitch in on that, but you can't like make them do it. So, kind
Right.
of thing.
Right.
So, like a lot of companies, and the whole thing about ACA, which is probably going to come undone someday, is the employer mandate. So, just because
It's not great, man.
it's not great, it's better than it was before, but
Kind of sucks.
it kind of sucks, man. Yeah. So, I'm watching you go through that rigmarole with the gold and silver plus and whatever, kind of thing. It's like, yeah, it should be a lot easier than that. So, I mean, I did that once. So, and that was, oh my God, that was like 8 years ago,
Yeah.
9 years ago. And
Yeah.
it was pretty straightforward. It just wasn't cheap. It was cheaper than Cobra, that was for sure. So,
Yeah.
but Cobra's just dumb. So, yeah,
It's
because
terrible.
it is terrible because, but then, the thing about Cobra is you realize exactly how much employers pay into these plans. It's a lot.
It is, and that's sort of the thing is all right. So if you want to talk about the things that do cause a certain amount of ever-present unrest, like within employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that you feel, and this can absolutely be true, right? For all the belly aching you and I do sometimes about, well, this is your situation, it sucks. If you don't like it, change it. All right, I got it, because I certainly believe in that. But there are certain handcuffs in there, and insurance being one of them.
Insurance is a big one.
Where you're just like, well, actually, I can't leave because
Yep.
I have 3 kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen plenty of people get stuck in that.
You know, and that's where, unfortunately, I wish that I had a full steadfast thing to be able to hold to that, say that your situation sucks, change it. But I can't because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because of stuff like that. And, you know, it's a rough thing because I sort of like bounce back and forward on a daily basis sometimes about what I think medical coverage should be there for, hospitals, medical care. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. The thing is, I feel like anybody that speaks about it with absolute certainty, right? I think they're doing themselves an injustice because I feel that they're not being completely fair to the situation.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, anybody that says like, "Oh, okay, well, just do Medicare for all," it's like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying in
Walk
theory.
me through that, how that works.
Are you okay with the consequences that would bring?
Yeah. Do you want a shabby medical system? I mean, take a look at NHS. They love it because they don't have to pay for it. Okay, but you have to wait 8 months to get a fucking appointment.
It sucks.
It does suck. Yeah, it does suck.
sucks.
You know, so, but I mean, I've had enough students from England over the years and they like it. So, you know, but I've had other students from like Korea. They do that 70% thing. You know,
Right.
so I think they do theirs a little bit lower, but then you go out and you buy private insurance. So
Right.
it works pretty good.
Right.
You know, they
Right.
come here and they'd be like, how much do I have to pay to get, you know, fucking stitches? You know, it's like, yeah, it's pretty bad if you don't have insurance, you know? So no, I can totally see where some people get stuck, you know, with their insurance and it doesn't really put that much, but like, I was always like really, really kind of like, oh my God, this is absolutely awful, blah, you know, we got to fix this. This is the biggest problem in the country, yada, yada, yada. And then my wife went through cancer. And I saw her get like $1.2 million of treatment, and I was out of pocket about $8,000 for the whole thing. And I was like, "Oh, that fucking worked."
Well, yeah, okay, but that's the thing. It did,
Yeah.
okay, and it worked in your situation.
It did.
Right? And there's a lot of people it fails too.
It does, but I think there's a lot more people like me, okay, who, yeah, you pay a lot for your insurance every single. My insurance is not cheap. Okay, I mean, I've looked at comparable plans, even in the exchange. They're way cheaper than what I pay every single, and I'm on state benefits. And everybody thinks, oh, that's some kind of Cadillac plan.
Oh, no.
It's like, oh no, they're great.
No.
All right, when they kick in, but you pay out the ass every single month for them because you know the premiums are just horrifying.
Yeah.
So, but you know, then again, there's a lot of other people out there who it's like, oh, you made it through that too. Oh, and you made it through that, and you made it through that. Okay, and you're not eating ramen. Okay, all right. So it's covering a lot of people. So it's just, yeah, the people that I've known who've gotten fucked by it are people who are like small business owners. You know, where you
There's
don't,
that.
yeah, that sucks,
And-
man. So you know, or contractors, people who do a lot of 1099 work and stuff. You know, it's just like.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people who one of the other ways that they're fucked on it is they're constantly making phone calls and getting phone calls and negotiating.
Yeah.
Right. Which again, it seems like it shouldn't be that complicated for what it is.
No.
But it is something that it's there's this weird thing where we can't decide whether our medical system is a scientific numbers game or a fucking flea market. And it is, man.
Kidneys.
It is.
Get kidneys. You know?
It is. Well, because when it comes down to it, you've got somebody that had a medical procedure, right? And so they call up and say like, well, hey, listen, your body is stitched up. So here's the thing is this is how much this costs, right? So we can't come at you and take the stitches back out and say like,
No,
sorry.
that's illegal. Yeah.
Right. So they're saying like, well, we have to get some money for this. And of course the other person is like, well, I could barely afford this in the first place. So what can you give? It's like, all right, I got $3. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
can you do $4.20? No, I got $3.
Yeah.
Can you do $4.50 if we break it into 6 easy payments?
Yeah.
Right? and this is what I'm talking about, is your health. I don't feel like that's something you should have to negotiate for.
No, I don't think so either, man. So, yeah. No, it'd be much nicer to have just a much simpler system. I think it probably would save quite a bit of money too. So, but
that's the problem, is
I don't know.
I can't think of a solution that gracefully, again, serves both purposes of not being a dog shit system, right?
Right.
Still encouraging basically the best and brightest to get into it, because that is step number one, right?
Yeah.
As we've learned, talent matters.
It does matter.
Talent matters, right?
Yeah.
So anything that you want to have people treat like a fucking a 40-hour city job.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I'm working here. You know?
Right.
No,
right.
you ain't. You know?
Because if you have these places with unofficial rules, it's like, hey, I work 40 and nothing but 40.
Right.
And here's how this works is we don't speak about it, but on hour 39, what happens is each of us, when we're on that hour, that guy just kind of like disappears for that hour because we don't want him getting dragged into something.
No.
Because then that would be overtime.
Right.
So don't ask Jim to do something.
Yeah. During his last hour of shift. Yeah.
Right.
Even if someone's dying, Jim's not available. Yeah.
Right. If somebody's dying, find the second best Jim.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
So, or try and get that guy to hang on until Bob comes on shift.
Right. And that's fine. Because sometimes that means the second best guy is the guy that has like the meth hands, the dude that like we can swear to it. We know he's clean. We have to test him. It's a government thing, so we test him all the time. But man, that dude's hand is not steady.
It does not look right.
You ever seen his signature? Yeah, it's disgusting. So yeah, you don't want to have that kind of like attitude, but that's what you get.
When it's all like 100% government funded, that's exactly what you're gonna get. And like the medical system and just like in general, man, I mean, if it comes down to like first principles and what's actually important, I want one that I can get quality doctors from. That would be number one. I'll take something that's cheaper as number two. So, okay.
And listen, in other markets, I'm willing to make that.
Oh, fuck yes. So, yes. So when it comes to hamburgers, quantity. When it comes to street tacos,
oh my God. Yeah. Is that the new graph?
It's the new graph.
Yeah,
it's the W graph. Yeah.
So
what's actually important for one axis is absolutely irrelevant on the other. Yeah, no. So, I don't know. I've been trying to boil it down that way. I was like, all right, so anything that fundamentally threatens the quality of the U.S. system is probably something that we should avoid. Okay? And then secondary principle is like, how do we make it cheaper?
Right.
I don't think accessibility is the problem that it used to be, because that whole pre-existing condition thing was bullshit.
Absolutely.
So, they, we've made progress on that since when we were younger, but, it's still not ideal. We'll see what happens with that, man. So some of it, I'm curious about AI and how rapidly it can start developing new drugs and things like that. And absolutely getting like ahead of a lot of the medical problems that make the system expensive.
Okay.
So
okay. So this was something that did come up at that conference.
All
right. This was something that there was a place that was testing this here. And one of the things that AI was a godsend for was about diagnosis.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And not necessarily about look, because they already have the chart, right? Yeah, frankly, most of the stuff is like when the nurse does this, they do this with their phone, right?
Yeah.
They punch in, here's what you got. And that's for the most part pretty accurate, although it can be better. The thing that it's super accurate with, that it was catching that experts missed, is basically you put up an x-ray.
Oh, okay. Imaging.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Any kind of scan, anything like this.
It's like there's cancer right there.
It was something to tune like 33% more accurate.
That's amazing.
Right?
And that would be a big chunk of your problem right there. So, because if you catch somebody who's got cancer when it's like tiny, okay, you're talking about an outpatient surgery that afternoon, rather than like removing a 2-pound tumor from somebody and then going through 16 weeks of radiation and chemo afterwards, which basically, makes that person functionally useless for, 6 months. So, it cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, like each one of my wife's cancer treatment was 40 grand. Each individual shot. Shot. Yes, the shot.
Yeah.
Come on, man. So,
and I'm sure you looked. You're like, I don't see any fucking gold flakes in the syringe.
No, I didn't look at it. I just remember looking at the bill. And I was like, that's got to be a mistake. It's like, that has got to be a fucking mistake. There is no fucking way.
You're like, what fucking juice did they put in you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, I legit thought, I was like, that's got to be, somebody didn't carry a 1 somewhere. There's like this thing's a magnitude order. And then they were like, I called up, because, I mean, when she was going through this, there was a finance person who was like, yeah, and they were like, hey, if you have any questions, call me anytime, blah, blah. They were really nice, but I was like, is this real? And they were like, yes, we have to bill you that. He's like, but we haven't actually put it through all the reimbursement processes yet at this point in time. So he's like, just sit tight. All right. So, we're going to sort it out. I was like, okay. So.
Well, and this is, I mean, this is.
So yeah, if there's a way to actually prevent that, that'd be great.
No, you're absolutely right. And so there is that. So you can have a reduction in force that way. I think there's a number of things where anything that can reduce the number of staff that's necessary is important, right? Because that's the biggest, cost.
Yeah, I don't know if we really want robots lifting grandpa out of bed though. So
well, I'm not talking about robots. I'm talking about basically like anything that has to do with like diagnosis, anything that analysis, stuff like that. It's the same thing. Yeah. Like when you get your blood drawn, okay. Why should it take a day? Why should it take 3 days for them to go ahead and filter through it and say, like, no, here you go, right? Blood tests are usually not on the spot.
No, they're not.
Right? So you're saying, okay, so what is taking it so long for it to,
I don't know, but I read that book about that lady.
Oh, don't bring her into this.
Yeah, okay.
No,
she was asking the same question and trying to solve that. So, but like I don't know. There's like scientific like hard reasons why. I don't know what it is.
Well, so there's all right. So phlebotomists can talk about this. Yes, I do understand that there's parts where all right. So you have to put it through like a centrifuge and you have to separate and things like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, I don't think that this is what I'm talking about. Is the back end. Right?
Yeah.
What can we reduce out of here?
Yeah.
Right? And this is not to say, like, hey, fucking these people aren't important. They are. But the truth is, every industry has places where there is overhead that can go.
Well, there's a lot of fat in hospitals. You can tell that by walking into any one of them. You take a look at the architecture right now. So these things, you walk in, it's like, wow, this place is full of artwork. Huh.
Okay, this is the thing, though. You're talking about that 1 and 2 crossover.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay.
Like, because I would suppose part of that is if you... And we've joked about this with the brutalist monkey bars in the past. Like if you go,
I forgot about this.
If you go into a hospital, I mean,
concrete.
This is what because think about a doctor going into that environment every day, right? And
I get it, man, but I mean, I've been going to hospitals for a long time, and so I'm going over to this one over here next week. I've never been at this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna be on the prowl for like custom art.
Look,
because every new facility that I go to seems to like have this one-upmanship, and so I think there's fucking architects and art history majors out there who are actually causing your cancer treatments to go up.
Well, look, okay, there's that, but there's also like a soft side of the sciences where they can point to certain data and say, hey, if we have recovery rooms that are painted in pastels and have flowers on them, it aids recovery by 8%. Right? And they have these bullshit, studies to be able to go back to and say, like, okay, so this is why we should do that, because it has a demonstrable effect. All right, got it. All right. I know for you, I would feel better in recovery knowing that, well, these walls are white.
But my doctor looks well rested.
And I know I'm getting this for a better price.
Right, yeah.
Right? I know I'm getting this for a better price.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. So, I just have to see. I mean, go into the slightly more grayish years here, and things keep breaking.
Dude, you're telling me.
I'm commiserating, man. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to one up you.
No, 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 no. I'm not trying to one up either because I know that fucking left wing ears is
my
still.
noodle.
Yeah.
My bull noodle. Kind of drape it over the bars.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You gotta duct tape my hand to it.
Hey, but you're doing it. You're doing it. I love it. So, but yeah, man, it's for me like week after week. It's like, all right, my shoulders are finally starting to fix up, and like I can use these without tremendous pain. Great. Then I fucked up something in my mouth. How did I do it? Well, I was chewing.
Right, yeah, it's just something popped. It
wasn't that something popped. I told you guys about this before. Was my wisdom teeth never came in.
Oh yeah, you did.
Right. So they're still in my head. I can feel them back there.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I can feel back there where it's just underneath the skin.
Mm-hmm.
And so earlier, like about a week ago, I was in the snack aisle, where like young people buy snacks, and I'm like, wow, look at this, corn nuts.
Oh God,
I haven't had one of these in a while, and they're great, but they're very hard. They're very hard. They're not a soft chew. So at first I was like, did I break a fucking tooth? I was like, no. What I did was I bothered the shit out of my underneath the skin wisdom tooth.
Oh.
Right? Which fucked up the whole back area and is just now feeling okay. And, so the week goes by. I'm like, God, I don't want to have to go to the hospital for this. So it cleared up. And what happens this morning? Why the fuck does my foot hurt like this? What did I do?
God, man, yeah.
And I can tell what's messed up. And I just don't remember doing the thing that would have injured it. Where if you just basically overextend, if you hyperextend your toes in some way. But I was like, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, Patrick, is it doesn't take as much. Because that back in the day when let's go back to when kids would play no equipment on the road tackle football.
Yeah.
Right. And you're talking street ball, yes. Yeah. And everybody's had injuries from that, but it took a lot, right?
Yeah. Kids were a little bit more plastic back then, I think. Yeah.
They were a little bit more rubbery and then that kind of thing. But as you get older, it doesn't take the same amount of stress to cause an injury.
No.
Like, Jesus
it sure
Christ,
doesn't.
man.
Yeah, your bones are...
one thing after the other.
Yeah, a little bit more brittle. And then, like, the same thing's true with, like, muscles. Muscles just tear.
Tendons and ligaments are tender as shit.
Yeah, there's certain other, like my stomach, man. I'll get a sore stomach. I used to be able to, I could eat. I never ate, like, a lot. So, but I could eat a lot of different things without getting fucked up. And, what I've been noticing lately is just, like, there are certain things. There's just, like, don't eat too much of that, okay? That's a bad idea, kind of thing. And so, and it's the pie chart that includes those things is growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But yeah. So, but I don't know. So, yeah, going forward, I'm sure I'll have a little bit more experience with the medical system and have some more insight into it.
Oh, yeah.
But again, back to where we were, that's a big chunk of that federal budget. So,
yeah.
But that's 2/3 of it, and the last third of it is all that discretionary shit. And sure, yeah, some of that should be cut. So it's coming. We're coming back to austerity, whether Mark Blythe likes it or not. So it's maybe an administration or two away. So but it's coming.
Even if it's symbolic, it
might be.
Well, this is the thing, man. Like, so here's what I want to ask you. Okay, in our lifetime, what I want to ask you are, what are the things that were put into place, right, that were repealed because they cost too much?
Not much.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't happen that often.
It doesn't happen that often, but what does happen is certain things do get cut. So, like, the amount of defense spending we do now is less than what we were getting as when we were kids. Way less. So,
Right. Right.
So, because we went through that whole period with Clinton, Clinton actually did balance the budget. So, him and Newt Gingrich, to their credit, actually managed to get that done. A lot of that was like we used to do direct welfare payments; those got cut. So, because then they went to food stamps and TANF and SNAP. So, the old school, we mail you a check welfare, that hasn't existed since the 90s.
Right.
So, there's one example. But the other thing is, yeah, it goes back to 2002, 2003, where the size of the federal government basically fucking doubled in a year. So, and then, yeah, like, does airport security really do that much? Do you know how much their budget is? It's fucking huge. So, look at it like that, it's like, okay, we spent a lot of money just to make people feel a little bit safer. So, and I mean a lot. And a lot of this money was spent because some guy fucking put some shit in his shoe. So, and everybody freaked out about it. And so it was okay to spend all this money on that. Yeah, there's something there that could go. Quite honestly, it's just like, when's the last time we had a terrorist attack in the United States? I can't even tell you, Jeff. It might have been 9/11. So
it's tough because it's tough to say what qualifies as a terrorist
correct
attack.
Yeah.
I know there are plenty of things that I could qualify as such, like say for example, I would argue that any school shooting where a manifesto was involved could be classified as a terror attack.
Yeah,
they don't so it's a little bit tough because in that case it's hard for me to separate it from Oklahoma City.
Yeah, but I mean, the two things that are like different between those is just magnitude of order. So, I mean, Oklahoma City, where you blow up a fertilizer bomb and kill 200 people and a whole shitload of them in a daycare, that's a little bit different than a school shooting. So,
but here's the thing: if there was nobody in that building, it'd still be qualified as a terrorist.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah. So it definitely had a statist kind of like objective behind it. So anything with the manifesto would probably qualify too, I guess.
Because the whole purpose is to instill terror in people for their behaviors.
Yeah. So, but I mean, does that justify like spending a ridiculous? I mean, we spend more on the TSA than we spend on the fucking Marine Corps. That's dumb. So.
I'm not gonna fight you on that.
That's dumb, dude.
All right. So, okay. If you're talking about something that, all right, if I were to look at this objectively and say, all right, so I in a panel of my choosing, right, where I can select the experts, I can say, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what's all here. We're going to strip it apart and say what works, what doesn't, and we're going to rebuild it from the ground up for a one-time expensive fee, but for long-term sustainability, reduced costs.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, TSA has how many more employees now versus...
Oh, God. They have hundreds of thousands of employees.
Which is, I'm sure, the largest cost. Is there anything that we could do to be reducing the costs on this here?
Yeah.
I feel like the answer is yes.
Yeah, it has to be yes. I mean, you're talking about, first of all, they're unionized. Second of all, they've got pensions. They're on federal benefits. There's all kinds of stuff, man. It's a massive expansion of the government, biggest one in our lifetime. So CIA is the same way, man. CIA before 9/11 was a couple thousand dudes. Now it's like 20,000 dudes.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. What the fuck do you guys do? And what can't AI do better than you? Now at this point in time. So,
I sure as shit don't like hearing, God, I can't remember how it was said the other day, but it was basically like, we're going to weaponize the IRS.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to do that. So
no, they did. And Obama did it. And it was dog shit.
What did he do?
There was a selective auditing process.
Oh.
Yes, being done under his administration. It was shitty.
Yeah.
It was really shitty, and he got away with it.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gotten away with that.
Yeah, the press ran fucking screens for that dude. It
was
dude, ridiculous.
He was the most protected president ever in the history of the United States.
Fucking ridiculous.
In terms of the press. That's okay. History's not being so kind to him now.
Hey man, look, I've made this bitch before, my problem wasn't what he did, it was what he didn't do.
Yeah, there was a lot of not doing, not there was a lot of inconsistency between the rhetoric and the action.
Absolutely.
So there, yeah. And I mean, okay, so I'm not going to say that he was worse than any other president in that one. So I mean, yeah,
Oh well, I will say that
I'm not going to say he's the worst.
I will say that he came out swinging, and
He did.
And immediately fell to earth and didn't hold to his convictions and say like, wow, this is people don't see this in a good way.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't say that he was worse than Clinton. So
Hey, as time goes on, I have less and less respect for that administration. There was a time where I saw it as enlightened and effective, and man, was I wrong on a lot of those accounts.
well, he did a couple good things, man. He did a couple really good things. Balancing the budget was definitely like nobody had done that since like the fucking since like after the Civil War.
Right.
Yeah, so that's pretty fucking good feather in
Yeah.
your cap, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, he did so with a Republican-controlled Congress. That's a pretty amazing feat.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Yes.
like going the complete globalist route and stuff like that. Hey, man, it was the rage at the time. It turned out that it was a bad idea. So, you know, but it was definitely the vogue thing at the time. I remember reading, you know, what was there's a famous book. It's like Flat, Crowded, and Hotter or something like that. It's Thomas Friedman book about, and the other one is the Fukuyama book, The End of History. That's an excellent book. So where he basically talks about, you know, hey, you know, we're it. This is good, okay, and we should keep pushing this, you know, because you know no two countries with the McDonald's will attack each other until 2022. So it was good theory. It was good
Yep.
theory. It held up for quite a while, but it didn't work out. But anyway. So, you know, but yeah, there was a lot of other shit that was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, you know. So I was actually watching a documentary on the Gulf War the other day.
Oh, okay.
We had 3 fucking armor divisions back then, Jeff.
Pretty
3
crazy, huh?
full-blown armor divisions, and sent them plus 2 airborne divisions and 2 more infantry divisions. That's bigger than our entire army right now. And that's what we sent to kick the shit out of Saddam Hussein in a weekend.
But remember that
We don't have that anymore because of fucking Bill Clinton.
at the time, if I recall, didn't they say that Iraq had like the 5th largest army?
That's why they sent all that
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Herbert Walker Bush wasn't going to fuck around. So he's like, send it all. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the same thing. Like, our Navy used to have 600 ships at that time. It has about a third of that now. Yeah. That's Clinton.
And in a lot of ways, that's still too much.
Oh, no, man. We need more than that.
Look, this is it's an interesting debate.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the thought. Okay. The thought that came to me, right, is so I don't know whatever version of this that you prefer, whatever gazoo you like, where it's either an angel or an alien comes to you and it says like, all right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to basically I'm gonna disable every nuclear warhead on the planet.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
It's like, I'm going to do this. All right. And so, yeah, you could try to replace these. It's going to take you years. Right. That's fine. But whatever. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Right. So the question then is the world as is, if there is no nuclear war on the table, right? What happens?
I think we fight World War III within a week.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing where you're like, do we have enough, ships? Do we have enough military? Do we have enough stuff? It's like, well, I guess, but it's still all under the umbrella of nuclear proliferation.
Yeah, but see, the problem with nuclear weapons, and I think the Ukraine wars kind of proved this, is that they're just too fucking powerful to be used. You just can't use it, you know?
But at the same time, it's a game of brinksmanship of like, how far can you push this before people will actually retaliate with nuclear strikes?
I don't think they will unless you actually invade a country that possesses nuclear warfare.
That's what but you can't.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's a hard line right there. There is no chance. I mean, if Russia and NATO got in a war in 2 weeks, okay, we're not invading Russia because we know they're going to hit the button. So, they might try and take out Poland or something like that. They don't have the strength to do it. But, they're not going to hit it with a nuke just to teach it. No, man.
That's
Because
what I'm
they know
saying.
that's what's going to happen. No, that fight will be fought in conventional means. So, we're entering, like, the Ukraine war is proving this, and then there's all these other little conflicts all over the place right now that are kind of proving this. It's like, okay, nuclear weapons are fundamentally a defensive weapon. They prevent you from losing the game. So,
Right.
and that's it. But if you want to win something, you still got to go fight for it like you used to. So, and
And that's expensive.
it's very expensive. It's bankrupting Russia as we speak.
Evidently, they're not doing as badly as I thought.
No, that's because they're basically gutting their entire civilian economy and turning it back into the Soviet war machine. So their GDP, like, I don't know if you can trust those numbers right now, but they're pretty upfront about their budget. And their defense spending is up to like 8.7% of their GDP. Ours is never over 1. Never.
You know how much that would have to, the dollar amount that would be.
Oh my God, yes. So, you'd have to triple the defense budget to hit 1%, I think. Because our defense budget is about $700 billion a year.
If we had triple that, right, the expectation of return would be unreal. It's like, why do you have all this stuff? You'd be like, what are you planning to do? You would have so much stuff that you would almost anticipate that. Who is it that you're looking to whack here? Who is it? Like, you're saying, which neighbor are you looking to annex?
Yeah, I don't think we want either of them right now.
No, no. It's not really even a great. You don't want it. There's way more land here than we know what to do with.
Oh yeah,
they just say it that way. There's
no. We still got whole states that don't have fucking people in them. So
correct.
Yeah, but this isn't a dudes on a map kind of game.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. So no, but if you were doing that, then that would be a huge expectation of what are you increasing this by so much for?
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. Right now, I think the thing that they do need to increase is they need to, like, just be strong enough where, like, the Chinese decide not to take a swipe at us. That's all you need. So,
fair enough.
That's what you need, man. So, and that would need more ships and more Marines. Less army. We're not going to send the army over there.
It's pointless.
No, there's no fucking way you can invade that country.
Useless.
Why? Because they have nuclear weapons. They'll use them on you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Absolutely useless.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely useless.
You can do far more damage with stealth bombers, honestly.
Well, we're not. I don't think it's even possible to get our first strike out anymore. The detection mechanisms for any kind of launcher, they detect them within seconds.
Well,
Everybody can do that.
It has a seismic signature.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and all 3 of the major nuclear powers have geostationary detection-based satellites. So that's all those satellites do, is wait. So, I mean, we have ones that are so, like, fucking accurate that we can actually detect, like, fucking large caliber rifle shots. So
No, and then I get it, because I mean they're constantly being set off by the dudes on GunTube.
I know, man. Every time someone shoots a Barrett in Kansas, man, so a light goes off in Cheyenne Mountain somewhere.
Yeah. This guy again, huh?
This guy again, huh? This guy with his 4-bore elephant gun, man.
We'll just flip it on. Just watch his video. Yeah. No, man, I get it. And I guess it's that entanglement that makes me feel pretty confident that we won't get involved. Nobody's going to push our buttons.
No, I don't think anybody's going to push our buttons.
I think when you talk about Pearl Harbor, you mentioned it is the worst military mistake in human history.
Yeah.
I think it's that same kind of deal.
Yeah, I don't think anybody. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to do it.
Just don't do it.
No. Yeah, I'm not too worried about some of that stuff, but like there are parts of the military that are a little bit anemic, and they're not where they should be, just because of like policies that go back to the 90s.
Well,
and I don't think you're going to find that much cost savings there, man. I mean, I think there's a lot of other parts in discretionary spending that you can take a look at and be like, why the fuck are we paying for this? So. And TSA is just the first thing that I reach for on the shelf, but there are other things on there.
Because look, you've seen you've seen the kind of things that you've seen it over time. You've seen the capabilities of what can come and go, right? You've seen the loopholes of things that easy closures that would have, like, when we go back on the days of like, well, all you'd have to do is pass a background check, get a badge, right?
Right, yeah.
And I can have 12 explosives on 12 planes, right?
Yeah.
Without anybody noticing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I'd have that. You say, like, well, all you'd have to do is just, you can change that right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you look at things and say, like, okay, well, these are easily closed. How much are we solving by that? Stop. Get in the whirly machine, right? Put your hands up. No, put your hands up. No, put your hands up the right way.
Right, yeah.
No, put your hands up like this. Face this way. Yeah. Okay, that's not working. We got to wand you, right? When you say, like, how much of that has that prevented, I don't know.
I don't know either, Jeff. I mean, I'd be more concerned about, like, I mean, obviously you have to screen people for guns or something like that because you got,
of course,
150 people trapped in a metal tube. So, and we've had theater shootings that had high casualty rates.
We have.
So, so there you go. But still, at the same point in time, I don't see the justification for, a lot of the policy, a lot of the procedures, a lot of the money that goes into modifying airports every single year, all kinds of crazy stuff out there that's just like, you know what? It's it's not a threat. Like, it's, like, threats change over time, man.
Yes.
Yeah. And just because you leave all the infrastructure to address the last one in there, that should be addressed every now and then.
And that's reactionary anyway.
Well, everything that the government does is fucking reactionary. This is the other thing that pisses me off. People were like, oh, the Chinese plan out 20 years, blah, blah, blah. I was like, motherfucker, it's not possible for us to plan past an election cycle in this country. That's by design, bitch.
And shut the fuck up with that. Anybody that says that the Chinese quote unquote plan more than 20 years,
that's bullshit.
That is the biggest fucking lie on the planet, because the breakdown of the individual groups to the top, right, are so discombobulated and so jam-packed full of lies. You can't count on anything in there.
No, you can't. Yeah.
Not a single fucking thing. So you're talking about the planet is long. They're geniuses. Like, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. They're people.
They're people.
They're goddamn people like everywhere else.
Yes, they have smart people. They have dumb people. Some of those people are in government. Some people are not.
Because
yeah.
The argument, you could say, like, oh, okay, well, then by that metric, right? Let's take a place that was under full totalitarian. Let's take the USSR.
Oh, yeah, no, I gotta bet. Let's take North Korea. North Korea, everything worked out great.
Sure.
They planned that fucking thing down to a T, man. And everything went perfectly according to plan.
Perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolute genius. But yeah, you take the second biggest one, the USSR, and say, like, okay, well, this was controlled from top to bottom.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Everybody thought it was doing great, even all the way up till 1989. And then all of a sudden, one weekend, one bad weekend where someone didn't pick up the phone.
All it took to bring down that country was a dude not saying, for the weekend.
Right, yeah.
We're going to let you travel for the weekend.
For the weekend, yeah. And then it turned into, like, the fall of the Soviet Union.
Which should let you know what people thought about living in there. Because they didn't turn around and say, like, well, this is shit. I'm going back.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, enough with that nonsense. Enough with that. And the fucking... it's the same shit. It's like, look at this bus. I'm like, it's a bendy bus. They're in Boston.
It's a land train.
It's like
it's a road train.
And actually, it kind of sucks. It's
they ripped it off from a German design.
They did, and they're like, well, look what they did with all these. Look at all this rail they built. I'm like, yup.
It goes nowhere.
Well, it goes nowhere, and on top of that, why do you get to build this kind of stuff this way? Oh, because there's nothing there. The whole thing about what you and I have talked about, the bulldoze icons and city skylines, is that That doesn't exist in real life. So when
life.
you're saying like, oh, okay, well, I can build a high-speed rail here, all through Los Angeles.
Right, yeah.
No problem. No problem. Just give me the free bulldozer to go ahead and scratch anything I want. I'll get you a high-speed rail.
Yeah, put this thing right through fucking Beverly Hills, man.
That's where it needs to go.
That's where it needs to go.
What's the shortest, what's the fastest between any 2 points in a straight line?
Straight line.
Yes, this goes straight through Beverly Hills. I'm gonna put a station there.
Yes, it's going to go right through Taylor Swift's backyard.
It absolutely is. And what I'm going to do is in front of, like, John Travolta's hovel, I'm going to go ahead and... I'm going to put a little hole in the ground that people that people go into, right, to get on this train.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You'll have a stop. It's cool.
It's cool.
Because I can do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Ride the train, fucker.
As a matter of fact, I will get a refund from bulldozing this house.
Right, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. It'll barf out resources that I can use elsewhere.
This fucking ridiculous shit. It's like, yes... It's. I remember when people were talking about this was the same thing when they would talk about those Nordic countries and like you would not believe the internet they have over there and it's all free, right?
See that again.
I said it once.
That was great. You said it with just the right amount of like spite, you know.
Like, guys, it's the first lines going in. That's easy.
Yeah.
Right? When you have to rip out the existing infrastructure to put new stuff in, that's expensive.
There's a reason why Tokyo has an awesome subway and tram system.
Are you saying...
And you know, there's quite a few cities in Europe that have really nicely designed transit systems.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and there's a reason why London's is a little shitty, but not as bad as anything in the United States. So there you go.
Right. So yeah, I get it. And you could make the argument where you say, well, then you should always be putting aside something for modernization. Like, that's a different argument. No problem. I'm not going to fight you on that.
Yeah.
Not going to fight you on that. And it's a little bit different where we say here, well, who's taking on that cost? And Comcast are like, well, I'm not doing it.
No, not us. Yeah.
Because these are the other places where you have, you have Globo Homo Internet, right? Where this is provided by your government,
right?
So they can go ahead and spend those unlimited checks and fuck up and not worry about that.
Not worry about it.
That's fine.
And put it in 32-hour work weeks.
Or you have dudes juicing it where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to dick around until it's hour 38. That way, we all get overtime,
right? And
we're going to start working at hour 38.
And fuck the taxpayers.
And we're going to put in a 100-hour work week, which is time and a half, and
this is France, man. It's triple time, baby. So
that wouldn't surprise me. The fucking California, I don't know if you saw this, the fast food workers.
Oh, that's where I thought you were going with that. Yeah.
Yeah, they got their 20.
Yeah.
9,000 jobs have been lost. And so the people basically above the fast food workers are like, well, what the fuck? We're not working fast food. Mm-hmm. And so now they're lobbying for a separate minimum wage hike to $25.
Yeah, so how do you actually draw, like, the line around fast food workers? Is it, like, company by company, or is it, like... Yeah, I'd be curious how they actually do that, man. So, because, like, if you work at Chili's making $20 an hour, you know, now... Is that now fast food?
Patrick,
cheaper?
What I would do is I would classify, I would say we are now McDonald's Bistro.
Bistro, yeah. Exactly, yeah. We're no longer fast food restaurant. Yeah. So we have a concierge. So you have to wait to be seated here now.
Well, it's fine. You can actually have an AI maitre d' that basically that basically like has a sensor on the tables of like what's empty and what's not, and it can just see like trash, and so you go up to the little the LED screen and it'll just say like you can be seated at seat 16.
I remember when they had those remember that when you could order at the tables? That wasn't in all McDonald's, but there were a couple.
No, there were some, and there are so I think like dumb places like Chili's still do that.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, God, I haven't been to a Chili's in so long.
I don't like
I
Chili's.
don't like Chili's either, Jeff. I went to a TGI Fridays a while back, and it was like, ooh, I don't need to be going here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the trick, man. So,
Yeah, I mean that'll just blow. Like everything in California, it sounds stupid, but it'll work out. So it's just like it's like this circus of dumb that just keeps, you know, it drives certain people out of the state, but then other people just move there.
well,
So
they do, and,
I don't get it, man.
the
So
best analogy that I've heard about California's a hot chick, right? That's
okay,
all it is.
I've heard this one too.
Right,
Yeah.
where it's been coasting on its looks for a long time, and everybody wants to get with it, and it's the kind of bullshit where like you lie, you say like, "Well, actually, your photography is awesome," or
Right. I've heard this. Yeah.
yeah, and you can say that, but this is the thing. They say like, but what happens to chicks as they get older?
Well, that one never ages though, man. I mean, it's older than like fucking 2/3 of the country. Yeah.
Right, but at the same time, what I can do is I can grab you some photos from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s,
Right.
aughts, and I can say this is what the cities looked like from then to now,
Yeah.
right? And there has been, look, there's not unlimited resources to spend on this shit, and it's the same thing that goes with, look, part of it when you were looking at it from like the 50s, and you can look at the same places like, wow, this is green,
Yeah,
right?
but then it went Republican in the 70s.
Well, it did.
So isn't that just what's going to happen again?
Hey, as I've said before,
It's happened many times
if
in their
you
history.
don't take care of the place, you get Nixons.
You get
right?
Nixon's, yes, exactly. He was from California. You know?
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right.
He used to own a walnut farm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. You got your Nixon in New York. He was called Giuliani. That if you don't
Yeah.
if you don't take care of the place and you let enough Dinkins run the place, right? You will get Giuliani's.
Yeah, but remember, he came from the Justice Department. He was a Washington guy.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
He was an Elliot Ness
He was.
of politicians.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You get it. It's going to happen, and especially as we've talked about, the Latinos are being kissed in as white. We have new people, right,
do.
that are taking their place, and trust me, Mexicans do not think this like, oh, they don't have solidarity with Venezuelans.
No,
they
they
do
don't.
not have solidarity with Cubans, right?
Or Nicaraguans.
Or Nicaraguans. No. So, much like the gay pride parades in the 80s, you had those very flamboyant people, and you turn around and say like, ugh, okay, no, not
We
near my
work
kids.
hard. We
But
play hard.
but you gay guys over here, you're just fine. No
Just
problem.
fine, yeah.
No
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, you guys can get married.
So when the new guys come in, the old guys who seemed weird, they get kissed in. They're white now. All right? They're white. That's cool. They start having white interests. They start having interests.
They do love their pickup trucks, man. So
I'm telling you, man.
So yeah, it's not the same.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening right now. Like I understand that's one of the things about Texas is one of the strongest bases against like illegal immigration are Mexican people because
Sure.
they're like
Yeah. Yeah, people of Mexican descent. Usually like second generation too.
Yes.
Or the most, so in some respects. Yeah, I've seen tons of videos of those guys talking about some of that stuff, and yeah, and that's why Texas, the whole idea that it's gonna go purple is probably false for a while. I don't know, and the whole like sheen that was around Austin for a bit seems to be wearing off a little bit.
you can only
You can only push against the tide so far, before
yes.
everybody kind of is like, well, that's just Austin. It's kind of like the Boulder of Colorado,
Right.
Yeah, so it's not quite the same. And a lot of people look at this state and say, oh, this state's solidly blue. I was like, it's dangerously blue, okay? Meaning that, it's the kind of blue that you have to be wary of. Because it doesn't take much for this state to actually, start bearing its libertarian fangs on people. Like, our governor's actually pretty fucking good at that. So, yeah.
He kind of placates both angles.
He kind of does, yeah. So he's pretty solid on that respect. But and then you see the same thing with Greg Abbott in Texas. He's like, oh no, this place is still Texas.
Right. Yeah,
let's dial this back here a little bit, buddy. Kind of thing.
Oh no, it's the microcosm of the internet. So I mean, it's you cannot think that Reddit is a stand-in for the world at large. No, Reddit is a stand-in for Austin.
Yeah, okay, all right.
And that's the thing is, you let it exist because it builds this wall around itself and it maintains its stupidity within that hole. So as long as Austin doesn't boil over, right?
I don't think it can, man.
But when Austin starts boiling over, that's when people put the clamps on it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. Where it's like, keep Austin weird. It's like, go ahead, be as
Go
weird
ahead,
as you
yeah,
want.
be as weird as you want. Yeah.
But I better not see you out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see that Beto guy running around for Senate again.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's just how it goes, right? You have to have your state has to have one or two good retard containment units that just attract these kind of people.
Yeah, every state does have a couple of those.
You know it.
Yeah,
and you could
true.
probably name the cities. If I went state by state, you could probably name which city it is.
Probably.
Yeah. What is it in Arizona?
In Arizona? the retard containment unit? I don't know, man. That's kind of hard.
People argue that's what Maricopa County is, but I don't know.
That's the biggest place in Arizona.
Right. And well, it's the same thing. Like
so, yeah, but like
New Mexico.
Oh, that's Roswell. So yeah. So yeah. That's a state that's solidly blue, though, man. So
well, yeah.
That one, yeah. But Roswell's just this like weird level of blue. It's like greenish. That's the other thing, man. I was looking at some of that polling, and the polling is getting a little bit better now because we're getting multiple polls, so you can do an aggregate. So, which is the way you should do it. So,
right,
but, yeah. And I didn't know that Jill Stein was still out there. Yeah.
Doing what?
I don't know, but
she's knocking on doors?
Apparently, yeah, she's still out there doing the Green Party thing, and that's where like a lot of the Palestinian dudes are fleeing to. So I know, man. It's like
why?
I didn't even realize that Cornel West was still out there too, man.
Is he?
Yeah, he's even got a vice presidential pick who's like totally pro-Palestine. But I hadn't even seen that dude.
Really?
And I like that guy. I watch out for him too, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you didn't even come across my feed. I don't agree with any of his politics, but I like him and I respect him as an academic.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
So, you should have people in that. Look, man. There's very little that I would align myself with William F. Buckley on, right?
Oh. Homeless incineration units. So.
It's not the homeless on fire. It's immigration.
It's immigration. Right.
And that's really it's. Man, that has been my. That's been like my thing for the longest time is just respect the process.
Right.
That's where the incineration comes in. That is the ultimate not respecting the process.
It's literally step 99 of the flow chart. Huh?
It's just coming here undocumented.
Right. How was that got to do with William F. Buckley?
Well, look, there's a lot of stuff that I don't disagree, that I wouldn't agree with him on, but. I like listening to I never minded hearing him speak. I never and that's the thing is like if you present yourself well, right? And I'm totally all about that. Kind of like you're saying, like Cornel West. You're like,
No, man, I respect you. I respect your positions. I know that they're well thought out, and I know that they're sincere. So
exactly,
I don't agree with very many of them at all. So, if any, there might be a couple that I actually am somewhat sympathetic to. So, but it's like you've done your homework. You opened by talking about Dostoevsky. Okay, all right. Yeah, all right.
Right. But on the other hand, if you're starting off by saying look, I'm going to throw this out there. Like, I would say at least 48% of the people in the United States could be burned off the planet right now. It would be nothing but better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You making that sound like Alex Jones on purpose?
Pick your side, because both sides want 48% of the population gone.
Right, because they think they're the 52 when they're not.
Anybody that doesn't look, man, humanity is so good. Humanity as a whole is good. We have so many opportunities to do bad, and we don't.
And we don't do them. Yeah.
Okay? Now, just because we're not as Japanese as the Japanese, where it's like, I'm going to leave out, they have these places where it's like, I'm going to leave out this much fruit, take what you want, put the money in the box.
Oh, yeah.
You're good.
You're good.
Okay? Now, just because look, and I would argue that 9 out of 10 people would be fine, right? But there is going to be some vato or some jerk that comes over there, right? Takes all the money.
Down the stairs for the up people, yes.
Yes. He's going to go in there and he's going to take the money. He's going to smash the watermelons and everything all over the place, put middle fingers up to the cameras, and walk off.
Right.
Not all of Philadelphia is bad, but they did kill the peace robot.
Right, yeah, they did kill the peace robot.
They did. Didn't happen in any other city, but it happened there, right? But most people are going to walk by and say, oh, that's funny, right?
Right, yeah.
But yeah, we do have a segment of ghouls and super mutants out there that...
Feral ones, yeah.
Yeah, they're just not going to cooperate, or they're going to do some shit, because that's the cost of living in a free country. It's the same... It's what we talked about with the TSA. It barely happens, but
yeah,
it's the same thing. It's like, oh, well, some kids got shot in a school. Dismantle the Second Amendment. Like, well, no.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that's what you get versus living.
I wonder if school shootings are down, or if it's just like they just don't get reported the way they used to.
There's been a few in the past few weeks, but just have not ramped up to.
They're just not like, it's almost like having a local gang war, Now.
Well, I would argue that the less you report on it, the less you'll have.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I hadn't really considered that, but you're probably right, because, I know that there was a strategy a little while ago, is like, don't publish the fucking manifestos and stuff like that. Don't show the pictures and the faces and anything like that. Clamp down, put gag orders on the trials, if there are any, and you just discourage this behavior because you're not getting it out there. And some of it's just fatigue too, man. So, or people just like, okay, was it this school over here? No? Okay, all right. So sorry about that, but
well, and that's
thought and prayer.
That's dumb. But the thing is, obviously, they don't do this with the school, but, one of the things they don't put up with the thing is like, all right, so school shooting, this seems to be happening all over the place. What they don't show is numerator, denominator. Right. That's not part of the news, because that's not, it's supposed to make
it decidedly less sexy. Yes.
Dude, people freak out when they find out that a crime happened at their Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, is people don't have the perspective on how many of these things are in place. But yeah, I would argue you play this down, most of this will go away. It's in the same way, like, fucking psychopath girls are out there writing love notes to, Charles Manson and Ted Bundy and fucking Richard Ramirez, when they were in prison for being serial killers, right?
Ted?
He's dead as shit.
No, Charles Manson, he's dead, right?
He passed away.
Okay, all right.
Not that long ago.
Yeah,
a couple years ago.
Yeah. No, I know they used to get tons of fan mail. So
yeah. Marriage proposals, all this other stuff, right? It's they're into that, and so that's the same thing. Like, what do you get with school shooters? Like, most people are like, that's disgusting, but the people who see it are like, wow, I can be somebody.
Right? Yeah, I can be famous for a day. So yeah, I know, and that's been in some of the letters that they've written in the past too. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's a good thing.
Anyway, all right. So there we go. That's enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
On school shooters.
Yeah.
And everything. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Pat.
Hey, I'm Jeffrey.
I'm heading to bed.
Okay.